The Pistons say we won't trade him. But guess what? All reality is everybody has their price. Bojan Bogdanovic more than definitely has one himself. So Bojan Bogdanovic so far this season with the Detroit Pistons at 34 years old is averaging 19.8 points while shooting 45% from the field, 38.7% from three on like a bunch of attempts. Like it feels like almost 10 threes a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal a night. And what does Bojan Bogdanovic bring you? He's making like $20 million a year. This guy is still one of the best shooters in the world. He can spot up, he can pull up, he can off the dribble. He's got the ability to run the pick and roll, put the rock on the floor, and he can get to the free throw line. He's a creative bucket getter. He's not really a good defender, and he doesn't really have the athleticism. But dude, his offensive ability is going to allow him to play long into his career. So, for me, if you're a team like, this is where it gets difficult. So, teams that would love Bojan Bogdanovic, the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Knicks. There's a lot of teams. Any team that needs firepower. The Minnesota Timberwolves need him. Where do you guys think a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic could end up? Here's the rest of the reporting we have on the Pistons, as they're expected to trade for vets very soon. Yo, what's going on, guys? And we're here in Bojan Bogdanovic. Yes, no plans to trade him, even though we heard that a contender offered 2 unprotected first round picks for him. And this is coming from Ian Begley of Sports New York, that the Detroit Pistons have no immediate plan to trade Bojan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic has been the target of several trade rumors for the last 18 months. Pistons hope that a healthy Bogdanovic can help turn around their fortunes. Bogdanovic recently returned from injuries, averaging over 22 points a night. And for a Pistons team that's been struggling, they can get whatever they need. And, you know, when you got a guy like Bogdanovic, who's proven that he can be one of the better shooters in the league, one of the better scorers, he's just improved on a night in, night out basis. They need a guy like him to be second fiddle to Cade Cunningham, because he doesn't really have any consistent scoring help besides himself on a nightly basis. And you got one of the best shooters in the world, one of the best scorers in the world, and Bojan Bogdanovic there. So I think that's going to be something huge that's going to help this team. And it'll be definitely interesting to see what they'll do to maximize the season in terms of salvaging it, but also while making sure that Bojan continues to look well. Because if they do have to pivot, I think at the deadline, if they're still terrible, they could trade him, because they got a guy who contending teams love. I mean, a guy who can knock down, spot up, or pull up threes. He can even run a little bit of playmaking and run this pick and roll, can get to the free throw line. He's really creative. Yeah, he's not a defender, but he's still capable of being an offensive threat that a lot of people want. And Detroit, so far, they're a team that it hasn't been rainbows and roses for them. They're the 27th offense, 24th ranked defense. At least they're a better defensive team than they are offense, but they're 2-19. Okay, so the fact that this right here, what I'm showing you, Pistons have no immediate plan to trade him, is hopefully they can, dig themselves out of this hole, because they got themselves 2 20-point scorers in Cade and Bojan. Then, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson, and Al Burks. Or if Asar doesn't get benched, and then you also have Marvin Bagley and Kelly Hayes. Like, you got a lot of guys who are scoring double digits or almost in double digits. So it's there, and having Bojan, I think, is going to be huge. Also, this froze, so I don't know what just happened. I want to hear you guys' thoughts, okay, as we wrap this up. Do you think Bojan is, worth keeping? And just, did this freeze? No, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. But is it worth, keeping and investing into what you guys have right here, which I understand maybe might. Of course, Detroit's talking about potentially move this microphone a little farther away, but talking about guys moving. They gave up. They didn't give up. They passed on getting Bojan Bogdanovic for 2, or getting rid of Bojan for 2 picks. So what we're hearing from Mike Scotto in this great clip, or great piece down below, check it out. It's an NBA trade candidates. So last year, Bojan Bogdanovic is still the top trade target for playoff teams. The Pistons allegedly passed, according to Mike Scotto, that on Bogdanovic being traded for 2 first-round picks from a contender. New coach Monty Williams loves Bogdanovic. Hoops Hype has learned. Coming into the season, Detroit hoped to be a play-in team or a playoff spot. That doesn't seem to be happening. So that also might alter Detroit's willingness to part with Bogdanovic before the deadline. There's no shortage of veteran players who could also be on the trading block for the Pistons. They got Al Burks and Monte Morris. I think so. Bogdan, you can get 2 first-round picks. We're hearing. I think Monte Morris and Al Burks, you can get several second-round picks. As the Rockets have explored trade conversations with the Pistons about Burks when they were trying to trade, several second-round picks and an attempt to offload Kevin Porter Jr.'s contract, which they eventually did. But Morris, if he can show he's healthy, is an intriguing backup point guard in the final year of a $9.8 million deal, or like his deal's worth 9.8. And then former 3-point champ Joe Harris is in the final year of his deal and will need to show teams he's healthy and consistent. But besides that, Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey are both guys that are expected to be the guards of the future, with Killian Hayes to be a name to watch on the market. I think you can get a first-round pick. Like if the Mavericks, the Bucks, I'm trying to think of maybe the Suns, teams that would trade several second-round picks, or maybe one of those teams that could send a protected first for Killian Hayes, who's a restricted free agent. And then because they have, like, let's say the Mavericks, they send, for example, I don't know who they would send, but in a deal, maybe they send Rashawn Holmes and the Pistons buy out Rashawn Holmes and they attach Rashawn Holmes with a protected first-round pick for Killian Hayes. And then they sign Killian Hayes to like a 3-year, $24 million deal. I don't think that's like too far-fetched, right? Like, I feel like that's pretty believable, especially there. Joe Harris, I could see that he's in the final year of his deal. He might be a buyout guy, and that's a guy people might wait for. Al Burks and Monte Morris are definitely guys I wouldn't be surprised if people trade for. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this? I think Bojan's going to stay. I don't think they're going to do shit about that. But Joe Harris, Killian Hayes, and Monte Morris, I could see as guys that, don't be surprised if they're moved or bought out.